Hey friends, welcome to this first video lesson on the book, The Spirit of Creation. And there it is. It's a little bit of a trick to get it to focus in here on my camera. Well, there we go. The Spirit of Creation. And we're going to be presenting these video lessons to watch through each of the chapters of the book. There's 18 chapters plus an introduction. And on a couple of the chapters, the content is going to take a couple of video lessons to get through. But this will give you just a great course to study the book and to learn really this life-changing and what we believe is actually world-changing, the truths that God has made both in His Word and in the world. So I want to just make the case for you why you should read this book, why you should watch the video lessons, why you should get the study guide and use it as a discussion piece with a study group, and really making an effort to learn the content of this great book, The Spirit of Creation. I I feel a little weird calling it a great book because I wrote it, but I do. I feel like it's life changing, and I feel like when people understand it and really apply it, it'll change people's lives. It'll change the church, and it'll change the world. So let me make the case for you why I want to encourage you to make this study serious. The first one is because in the subtitle we talk about how you're going to learn the three biblical wealth engines, and when you learn these truths, they're going to help you first of all fund your calling. Before you fund your calling, you have to fund your life. We all have to eat. We all have to have a place to stay. We have to have medicine. I mean, life's expensive, and it's also fulfilling your calling, whatever God's purpose is for you in this world. Is it to raise a family? Is it to go to school? Is it to work in some industry? Is it to work in some kind of government work, or has God called you to work in a nonprofit or in a ministry or in a church? Whatever that calling is, it's going to take money to fulfill that calling. And so that's kind of the first challenge in life. How are we going to fund it, and how are we going to fund it properly? And the principles we're going to talk to you about that are going to help you come to that. And a lot of people, they really are afraid about stepping into their calling because they're wondering, how would I fund it? And so God has a plan, and I want to encourage you in that. He's got a plan on how to fund your life and how to fund your calling. And quite frankly, they are the principles not only of growing your income, but of creating your wealth. When we talk to you about the three biblical wealth engines, man, I wish I would have understood these when I was younger, and but it took time in my life to learn them, and now to be able to teach them, and I want to give them to you so that you can apply them and grow your income and grow your wealth and fund your life and fund your calling, and that you can be blessed to be a blessing to others. The second reason, or the second thing that it can do, is it can help solve poverty. And so you may be working in what we call the poverty space around the world, and maybe in Africa or Asia or Latin America or one of the other pockets of places around the world where poverty is high, and you're trying to help the people get out of poverty. This is the book, man. This is the book you need to read, you need to study, you need to understand, and you need to apply it, and you need to teach it with the people that you're working with. You may be living in, I mean, that may be your native community that you're living, that is a high poverty community, and you may be struggling with poverty yourself. These are the steps, these are the principles, and these are the actions for you to rise out of poverty, and for your family and friends to rise out of poverty. And so I want to challenge you that you take the challenge to not be overwhelmed and just feel like, oh, it's impossible in this world. There's so many people, there's so many factors that are against me. The government is against me, the economy is against me, everybody's against me. Look, there is a way. There are steps to rising out of poverty. We want to encourage you in it. We want to teach you how to do that. And if you are working in the poverty space, we want to give you the tools that can really be effective in doing this. So it can solve poverty. In fact, these are the steps and the principles that historically have solved poverty hundreds of thousands of times. Almost everybody that will read my book or take these lessons, if they can look back far enough in their family history, far enough back in their family tree, they will find a generation that lived in poverty. In my family, you only have to go back about 3 generations. And they were desperate. They were desperate people living in desperate time. But over time, my family rose out of poverty. How did they do it? Well, actually, they didn't know in head knowledge these principles, but they practiced them. And by practicing them, they got out of poverty. And so has every family around the world who they have risen out of poverty if they did it properly and what sustainably. You can do it illegally, and there's some other ways you can take a shortcut, but it doesn't last. That's not a sustainable kind of prosperity. So it's going to fund your life, it's going to fund your calling, and it'll help you solve poverty. The third promise that we make in the book is that it will help all of us capitalize the global church. When I say capitalize the global church, I don't mean send a bunch of money to the church around the world. I mean that we teach the church around the world how to create their own money and to fund their own ministries and to send their own missionaries around the world. The vast majority of the Christian church in the world is in the developing world, where poverty is the highest, and it's a plague upon the church. Can you imagine if that plague upon the church around the world were reversed, and all of the church in the developing world could fund all of its ministries and send their missionaries around the world? They would change the world. I call that problem of poverty in the global church the elephant in the living room. That is the elephant in the living room in Christianity. So, big promise. That's a big promise of the book, but we really give a lot of focus and work out some of the details of how we are challenging the church to use these principles and use these actions to do it. The second reason is because this book is filled with transformational truth that I don't think you're going to hear anywhere else. I don't hear many of any other people in Christianity talking about these things. And so within this book, within this material, there's going to be right theology, there's going to be right economics, and there's going to be right action. Who in your life in Christianity is talking to you about the right theology matched with the right economics and matched with the right actions is what creates human flourishing in the world. God made us both spiritual beings and material beings, and there are laws that he's put in the world that govern both of those, the spiritual laws and the material laws. You've got to understand them. You've got to understand it's God's plan, and you've got to put them to action in your life. So in terms of the right theology, I'm going to be challenging with some new thinking about the kingdom of God, about the truth of God, and about the calling of God. Quite frankly, when I wrote it, I knew that I was going to take a lot of criticism from some people in Christianity that do not believe in what I'm going to say. So some of this is controversial, but I stand by it. I believe it is biblical. I believe it is true. And I believe it is the reason why there's such a problem of poverty in the majority of the church around the world, is because we have not understood these truths and we have not applied these truths. So we're going to be giving you some transformational theology. We're going to be giving you some transformational economics, the kind of economics that are sound, and they have been proven by the history of the world that those who live by these principles have prospered, and those who have lived against these principles, they have been without. They are the have-nots of the world. And so, and the three actions that we call you to, we give several metaphors and pictures. We talk about the three biblical wealth engines. We talk about the tree of prosperity. We talk about ecosystems of creation. And so these are all big ideas that are about the actions. Here are the actions that we got to take at the individual level, at the church level, at the community level, at the national level. And when we do these actions, we bless the world. We just do. It's the way it works. By the way, quick caveat: this book is not teaching the prosperity gospel. The prosperity gospel is a false doctrine. It's a false teaching that teaches that Christians are entitled to wealth because they are God's children. And the way they appropriate that wealth into their life is by religious hocus pocus. And it's not true. It doesn't work and never has worked and it never will work. About the only ones that it works for are the preachers of it because people keep sending them money. But other than that grift and that, that hucksterism, nobody is building their wealth by religious hocus pocus. That's not how it happens. God has actual practical actions that are economic actions that we take, and we take them consistently in our lives, and that is what produces material gain and good in our lives. So, and then last but not least, is just that, hey, it works. We see it work wherever we're in the world, and we have the opportunity to teach this. And when people apply it, man, it's amazing. It is amazing the change that we see in people's lives, even those that were formerly living in pretty serious poverty. They began moving up in the world. They began creating new income, higher income. They began owning property legally. They began starting and growing businesses. I mean, they start applying these economic engines, and it is transformational. So let me encourage you to get the book. The book is on Amazon.com, The Spirit of Creation by John H. Morgan. And let me encourage you to get the study guide. The study guide is on our website on the resources page. We're at peopleprosper.org/forward resources, takes you to the resource page. Or if you're on the site where you're choosing this video lesson, I think there's also an option where you can pick some resources, and we're going to load up the study guide on there also so that you can get that study guide. There's going to be an option you can take a quiz on each of the lessons if you want to study yourself or test yourself on how you're doing and learning the concepts. And if you complete all the lessons, there's a certificate that will be available to you, and we will be emailing you a certificate of completing this course. And so, man, we're great to have you. It's great to have you with us, and really appreciate you. And we're excited that you really learn and learn to live out God's spirit of creation. So as we move forward, God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.